Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales that we're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. The sound of shattering glass pierced the silence. Michael's hand trembled as he gripped the whiskey tumbler. His gaze locked on the divorce papers sprawled across the kitchen counter. His once pristine home, the symbol of 12 years of marriage to Sophia, now felt like a prison where every shadow whispered betrayal. 2 nights ago, Sophia had stood in the very doorway he now glared at, her arms crossed as she casually announced her plans. "I'm going on a date, Michael," she had said. The word date had rolled off her tongue like it was nothing more than a weekend errand. Michael had laughed then, cold, hollow, incredulous. "A date," he repeated, each syllable dipped in disbelief. "With who? Or should I say, how many?" Sophia hadn't flinched. "His name is Eric. He's a colleague," she replied, her tone as nonchalant as if she were discussing a dinner reservation. I need this. I need to feel alive again." The word struck Michael like a physical blow. Alive? Hadn't their 12 years together been enough? The mortgage, the weekend trips, the laughter over shared coffee in their sunlit kitchen. Wasn't that life? Or had it all been a lie? "Do you even hear yourself, Sophia?" he asked, his voice trembling with restrained fury. "You're married. You swore vows. Or does that mean nothing to you?" Sophia shrugged, her indifference cutting deeper than any argument. "I've given you everything, Michael. It's my turn to have something for myself." Michael didn't argue that night, not because he agreed, but because he knew the futility of fighting someone who had already decided to burn the bridge between them. Instead, he gave her one last warning, his voice low and icy. "Do what you want, Sophia. But actions have consequences." The following morning, Michael woke early, the resolve solidifying in his chest like granite. This wasn't just betrayal, it was war. If Sophia wanted to shatter their life together, he'd make damn sure she felt the weight of every piece she broke. He started his day with precision, crafting the image of a man reborn. A professional haircut replaced the overgrown mess he'd neglected in recent months. A sleek navy blazer, tailored to perfection, replaced the wrinkled shirts of his complacent married life. His battered sedan gleamed after a meticulous wash, a reflection of the man he was about to become. By the time Sophia descended the staircase, dressed in a tight black dress that screamed desperation, Michael barely spared her a glance. She paused, clearly expecting a reaction, a flicker of jealousy, but all she got was indifference. "Going somewhere?" she asked, her voice laced with irritation. "Out," he replied, his tone dismissive as he grabbed his keys. Sophia's lips twisted into a scowl. "What the hell does that mean?" Michael smirked, the kind that wasn't warm but sharp enough to cut. "Exactly what I said, Sophia. You enjoy your date. And remember, there are always consequences." Before she could respond, he was out the door. Michael drove to a small wine bar on the outskirts of town, where Emily, a co-worker he had grown close to over the past few months, awaited him. Their connection had always been platonic, until now. The betrayal he felt had stripped away his inhibitions, allowing him to see Emily in a new light. She greeted him with a warm smile that felt like sunlight piercing through the storm clouds of his life. "Michael," she said, her voice soft but tinged with concern, "you look different." "Different how?" he asked, slipping into the seat across from her. Emily studied him, her gaze lingering a moment longer than necessary. "Confident, determined." They ordered wine, and conversation flowed easily, an antidote to the chaos Michael left behind. For the first time in weeks, he laughed, a deep, genuine sound that startled even himself. But as the evening wore on, a darker resolve settled in his chest. This wasn't just about moving on. It was about ensuring Sophia understood the magnitude of her betrayal. She wanted to play games? Michael would make sure he rewrote the rules. Sophia returned home late that night, her high heels clicking against the tiled floor. She stopped short when she saw Michael in the living room, calmly sipping a glass of scotch. "You're still awake," she said, her tone cautious. Michael's eyes flicked to her, cold and unyielding. "How was your date?" he asked, his voice devoid of emotion. Sophia faltered, a flicker of guilt crossing her face. Michael, I... Don't bother, he interrupted, setting his glass down with a sharp clink. I don't care where you went or what you did, but you'll care soon enough. Her brows furrowed in confusion. What's that supposed to mean? Michael rose from his seat, his movements deliberate. It means you've made your choice, Sophia. And now, I'm making mine. The next morning, Sophia awoke to an empty bed. On the kitchen counter, Michael had left a single envelope containing divorce papers and a note. Actions have consequences. Enjoy your freedom. But freedom was not what Sophia would find. Michael had already set his plans into motion, a chain of events designed to dismantle every comfort she had taken for granted. Michael stood outside Jason's law firm, gripping a manila folder filled with every piece of evidence he'd collected. Bank statements showing unexplained expenditures, phone records with late-night calls to unknown numbers, and a few carefully chosen photographs, enough to prove infidelity without tipping Sophia off to how thoroughly he had prepared. Inside, Jason greeted him with a firm handshake. You've always been level-headed, Michael. So tell me, what's driving you this time? Michael's eyes darkened. 12 years of lies. 12 years of giving everything to someone who decided I wasn't enough. I want her to see what she's thrown away, and I want it to hurt. Jason leaned back in his chair, a faint smile playing at his lips. Then we're not just filing for divorce. We're going for blood. Sophia's day started like any other, coffee in hand, scrolling through her phone. But when she saw the message from her boss, her stomach dropped. Come to the office immediately. We need to talk about your position. She arrived to find Michael waiting in the lobby, a calm, yet chilling presence. Beside him sat a private investigator, his expression impassive as he handed Sophia a folder. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside were photos of her and Eric in compromising positions, taken over the past month. Beneath them was a detailed report of her recent activities, including a timeline of the nights she had lied about working late or meeting friends. You had me followed? She whispered, her voice barely audible. Michael's voice cut through the air like a knife. You gave me no choice. Actions, Sophia. They always have consequences. Her boss stepped forward, clearing his throat. This is a violation of company policy, Sophia. You're terminated, effective immediately. Sophia's world crumbled around her as Michael walked out without another word, leaving her to face the fallout alone. That evening, Sophia returned home to find the locks changed. She banged on the door, shouting Michael's name, but he didn't answer. Instead, a neighbor handed her an envelope containing a single key and another note. Your things are in storage. The address is inside. This house is no longer yours. Sophia stared at the note, her hands shaking. How had everything spiraled so quickly? Just days ago, she had convinced herself that Michael would forgive her, that he would always be there to clean up her messes. But now, the man she had underestimated was dismantling her life piece by piece. Michael's revenge wasn't just personal, it was methodical. He enlisted the help of Ava, a trusted confidant who had seen the cracks in his marriage long before he did. Together, they crafted a plan to ensure Sophia felt the weight of her betrayal. You're sure about this? Ava asked as they sat in her dimly lit apartment, surrounded by legal documents and timelines. Michael nodded, his expression resolute. She wanted freedom. I'm giving her exactly what she asked for. Ava smiled, a glint of admiration in her eyes. You're not just walking away, Michael. You're making sure she never forgets what she lost. Sophia's new reality hit hard. Her savings were frozen, tied up in legal disputes. Friends she had leaned on for emotional support began to distance themselves, wary of the drama surrounding her life. Even Eric, the man she had risked everything for, stopped answering her calls after Michael's investigator paid him a visit. One night, she showed up at Michael's office, her makeup streaked from tears. Michael, please, she begged, clutching at his arm. I made a mistake. I see that now. Just give me a chance to fix this. Michael looked at her, his expression unreadable. A mistake? Sophia, this wasn't a mistake. It was a choice, and now you get to live with it. While Sophia floundered, Michael thrived. His newfound confidence extended beyond his personal life. earning him respect at work and admiration from colleagues. Even Ava, who had always been a supportive friend, began to see him in a new light. One evening, as they shared a quiet dinner, Ava leaned closer, her voice soft. "You're a different man now, Michael. Stronger, smarter." Michael smiled faintly. "I had to be. Sophia didn't just betray me. She forced me to see the truth about myself." Ava reached for his hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "She may have broken you, but you're the one who's rebuilding." Sophia's world reached its breaking point when she received a letter from Michael's lawyer detailing the terms of their divorce. Not only was she losing the house, but Michael had also secured evidence proving her financial irresponsibility, ensuring she walked away with little more than her personal belongings. Desperate, she tried to contact Michael one last time, showing up at his new townhouse unannounced. But when the door opened, it wasn't Michael who greeted her. It was Ava. Sophia's eyes widened, shock and jealousy warring on her face. "You," she spat, her voice dripping with venom. "You've been waiting for this, haven't you?" Ava didn't flinch. "No, Sophia. I've been waiting for Michael to realize he deserves better." From behind Ava, Michael appeared, his expression calm yet firm. "Leave, Sophia. You've already taken enough." Months passed, and Michael's life continued to evolve. He and Ava parted ways amicably, both recognizing that their bond had been born out of shared pain rather than lasting love. Eventually, Michael met Claire, a woman whose kindness and strength mirrored the man he had become. Their relationship blossomed naturally, free from the toxicity that had defined his past. As for Sophia, she moved out of state, her reputation in ruins. Eric faced his own downfall, his career and personal life in shambles thanks to the whispers that followed him. Michael's journey wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming his identity. And as he stood in the sunlight of his new life, he knew one thing for certain. He had won. Sophia stared at her reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror of her tiny apartment. The woman staring back at her was a ghost, pale, haggard, and hollow-eyed. Her once flawless skin bore the marks of sleepless nights and constant stress. The vibrant, confident woman who had flaunted her independence just months ago was gone, replaced by someone she no longer recognized. The world around her felt smaller now. Eric had vanished, leaving nothing but unanswered calls and blocked messages. Her once busy social calendar was empty, her so-called friends scattering like ashes in the wind. Every door she knocked on was locked. Every opportunity slipped through her fingers. And then there was Michael, a man she had underestimated. His cold, calculated dismantling of her life had left her reeling, and yet she couldn't bring herself to hate him. He had warned her. She had just never believed him capable of following through. Michael sat at the corner table of a cozy cafe, sipping his coffee as the morning sunlight bathed the room in gold. Across from him sat Claire, her laughter soft and melodic. They'd been dating for 3 months now, and every moment with her felt like a breath of fresh air. "How are things with the divorce?" Claire asked, her voice gentle but curious. Michael smiled faintly. "Finalized." Sophia didn't contest anything in the end. I think she realized fighting was pointless. Claire tilted her head, her eyes searching his. "And how do you feel about that?" He took a long sip of his coffee, considering her question. "Relieved. It's over, and I can finally focus on what matters." Claire reached across the table, her hand covering his. "I'm glad you're moving forward, Michael. You deserve to be happy." While Michael thrived, Sophia sank deeper into despair. Her desperation led her to a series of poor decisions, each one dragging her further from the life she had once known. She found a part-time job at a diner, the only place willing to hire her after Michael's lawyer exposed her infidelity and financial mismanagement during the divorce proceedings. Every day, she endured the whispers of co-workers and the judgmental stares of customers who recognized her as that woman, the one who had ruined her marriage for a fleeting thrill. The humiliation was unbearable, yet she had no choice but to endure it. Late one night, after her shift ended, she found herself scrolling through old photos on her phone. Pictures of her and Michael, smiling at holidays and vacations, their arms wrapped around each other. She sobbed quietly, clutching the phone to her chest. Regret was a cruel weight, and it pressed down on her harder every day. Eric, the man Sophia had gambled her life on, wasn't faring much better. Michael's private investigator had ensured his indiscretions were known to Eric's employer, clients, and even his family. Rumors of his involvement with a married woman spread quickly, and within weeks he found himself ostracized. His colleagues distanced themselves, promotions evaporated, and his personal relationships crumbled. The final straw came when Eric's girlfriend, unaware of his infidelity until then, packed her bags and left him. He moved out of town soon after, leaving behind a trail of broken connections and a tarnished reputation. It was a crisp winter afternoon when Michael ran into Sophia unexpectedly. He had stopped at the grocery store to pick up a bottle of wine for dinner with Claire when he saw her in the parking lot, struggling to start her battered car. For a moment, he hesitated, torn between walking away and confronting her one last time. In the end, he approached. "Sophia," he said, his voice even. She flinched at the sound of his voice, her head snapping up. When she saw him, her eyes filled with tears. "Michael," she whispered, her voice cracking. He stood there, his expression unreadable. "I didn't expect to see you here." Sophia looked away, ashamed. "This is my life now," she murmured. "I deserve it, don't I?" Michael's jaw tightened. He wasn't cruel by nature, but he couldn't deny the satisfaction he felt at seeing her humbled. "We all live with the choices we make, Sophia. That's life." She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm sorry, Michael, for everything. I was selfish, blind. I don't even recognize myself anymore." Michael sighed. The anger that had once consumed him now replaced with a quiet resolve. "I hope you find a way to move forward, Sophia. But whatever we had, it's gone. You need to accept that." Without waiting for a response, he turned and walked away, leaving her standing in the cold. Michael's life with Claire continued to flourish. They moved in together, their relationship marked by trust, laughter, and mutual respect. Claire's unwavering support helped Michael heal the wounds Sophia had left behind, and for the first time in years, he felt truly at peace. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace in their cozy home, Claire rested her head on Michael's shoulder. "You're a good man, Michael," she said softly. "Don't ever let anyone make you feel otherwise." Michael smiled, pressing a kiss to her hair. "And you're the best thing that's ever happened to me." Sophia eventually left town, seeking a fresh start far from the place where her mistakes had defined her. She found a small apartment in a quiet city and began rebuilding her life, one step at a time. The pain of losing Michael never fully faded, but it became a lesson, a reminder of what she had lost and what she would never take for granted again. Michael, meanwhile, embraced his new life with Claire. He learned that love wasn't about sacrifice alone. It was about partnership, respect, and mutual growth. And though the scars of his past remained, they no longer defined him. He had risen from the ashes of betrayal, stronger and wiser. And as he looked toward the future, he knew one thing with certainty. He would never settle for less than he deserved again.